after SK's impressive upset win over G2, and we have Sertuss here with us to talk about this fantastic game. First off, congratulations, that was amazing. How do you feel right now?
Relieved.
Yeah.
Finally, we broke our lose streak. We were 1-6, and now we bet G2, right? And I hope it gave us more confidence also for the upcoming games or also for tomorrow. And yeah, I just feel really happy right now.
Vedi, your talk on the game. As we're watching
well,
you
I
backstage.
mean, you solo kill Caps. Yeah, that's got to feel pretty good, right?
Yeah, like of course, like solo killing everyone, especially Caps, the solo killer, was pretty great, yeah.
Of course, a lot of the early game went heavily in your favor. One of the things that, you know, when we typically see things like the Akali into a Zeri in particular, usually the Zeri will have a lot of prio, and that can also then allow champions like Volleybet to get very obnoxious. So how did you guys navigate around that in the early game, and how do you feel like that you were able to mitigate some of the early pressure that it did feel like G2 had with the draft?
I mean, there are two ways to play into Azir. Either you play like the scaling side, you pick like Corki, Zoe, and just try to outrange him in the mid game, or like you try the fighting style, which is like Sylas, Akali, also like Labrov, and it's just all about surviving until level 6. Once Akali gets her ultimate, she will most likely win every Drake and Herald fight in the first 10 to 15 minutes because of like Azir is a mage. He doesn't have that much damage.
For sure.
And yeah, that's all about it.
So you get that solo kill, that's where things start going. And then there was that counter gank in mid lane that you had as well, where you got an additional 2 kills on top of that. When you guys had that early game lead, did you feel like that the game was yours, or did you still feel like it could go either way?
I mean, of course, we felt really confident after the early game. We got like, I think I had 3 kills. We knew, okay, we stacked 1 Drake. We knew we will get for sure the next 2 Drakes, also the Herald. But, you know, it's G2, like
right.
They are really experienced. So for sure, we're like still waiting and hoping for the best.
I want to talk about the more mental aspect of things as we're going to rewatch the last fight that got you guys the win, because just before we got live, you were saying, hey, it's not an easy situation because we haven't been used to winning so much. So when you get a lead like this, what is the mental process into keeping calm, especially versus a team like G2? Because you know that they have the individual mechanics, maybe to flip the game back in their favor. So tell me about staying calm and collected and get this win in the end.
Yeah, it's like for sure. We had a 6-game lose streak. We threw also our game away kind of against Rogue. So there's for sure a pressure where you just try to do as least mistakes as possible, and then comms like just be like calm and breathe a bit, and then just focus on the next play.
Was it calm here? Is that what that was when that Elder Dragon was happening? Was it just like calm, cool, calculated comms?
Yeah, I think it was calm and calculated.
Nice.
Perfect. Really nice to hear. And I want to say I'm extra happy that I have you on the desk today, because we had a chat 2 weeks ago and you said, Laure, next time we win, bring me on interview. So I'm really glad you picked it, especially because you got the key player of the game today with the Akali flex performance that you had. Tell me about it and how you find these opportunities with this champion.
Yeah, I mean, the early game, as I said, once you hit level 6, you should look for plays around mid, 2v2, try to get the push and fight around Herald Drake. So yeah, I got the solo kill, and then afterwards, it was just a snowball. I think in the mid to late game, I did some mistakes. I walked too far up into Lucian ultimate without having my E. So I was kind of confused. Should I use stopwatch? Should I flash out? But then I wanted to save it. So I choked a bit, yeah.
You got the nice reactions. And again, congratulations on taking down G2.
Thank you very much.
Brighter days for SK, you think, after this one?
For sure. I mean, in this league, everything can happen. Today, Excel lost. Tomorrow, we will play against Excel. And now we got a confidence boost. So we're gonna make it. It
was the day of upset. Honestly, here in the LEC, we'll see how things move tomorrow on day 2. But for now, let's move on to our last game of the day, Vitality versus Rogue. 2 teams with an undefeated 2-0 record in the last week we had. But Vedi, 5-0 for Rogue after going 0-2 in week 1. Are we finally back to Rogue as the way we expected them?
It definitely feels like that. I mean, Sertuss, you can probably comment on this. Coming into the split, to me, it very much felt like that Rogue was not the same type of Rogue that we normally see. The biggest thing for me that stood out was last split, it felt like they were very confident in their draft approach, and they had like a very almost formulaic way of approaching the game that was very difficult to tear apart. And this split, it felt like it took them a while, but now they seem to know drafts that they're comfortable on. They're getting champions that give them prio, and they seem to be playing with that same kind of early game confidence that they played with in the past.
Yeah, I mean, we always had problems against Rogue, even in scrims. They're like the best scrim team. And yeah, right now, I think they will also like take the win against Vitality.
Is there anything in particular that you think Rogue stands out in compared to other teams?
I mean, they are really consistent. I think every one of them is. They're also a really smart team.
Right.
I think both solo laners they don't usually fall behind, and Malrang is really creative in terms of like pathing and ganking. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is what we saw last week, especially in the vintage Rogue that we saw during week 3 with the CS leads, winning lane, Malrang playing for his laners, Vedi.
Yeah, it was, I think that, to me, what really stood out last week in particular was Rogue. They would often draft winning lanes, especially in this game. You saw, like, pushing top, pushing mid, pushing bottom. What does Malrang do? He's super proactive on the map. And it felt very reminiscent of what we saw from this very successful Rogue last split, where they leveraged the fact that, as Sertuss was saying, consistency is the key. So when you give these players champions that they can have agency on, unsurprisingly, they will get agency and they will use it to be able to accrue leads. So that's what I think makes Rogue super scary right now, given how reliable and consistent their laners typically are.
Now, that being said, let's focus on Vitality maybe, because they haven't actually beaten a top team yet. They got their win against Misfits, BDS, SK, Astralis. But Sertuss, especially, what do you think of Vitality this summer, their progress, and given the expectations we had for the team at the beginning of the year to what they've been delivering so far?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning of the year, everyone thought like it's a super team, right? Which will be like they have the star players, right? Alphari, Perkz, and
all of them, I guess.
Kinda,
I want to say.
And right now, yeah, I think like Haru is new in the roster, so maybe they need to like still get used to him, right? I think it's a big change compared to Selfmade, and also, yeah, I mean, I think they need maybe a bit more time and try to get like better synergy, I think.
Yeah, and go ahead, Vedi.
What I will say is that like one of the things we talked about when we looked at this matchup in particular was when we think of Vitality, we think of them having pretty solid and reliable laners as well. And I'm curious, in like your experience, you've laned against, well, all of the mid laners like Larssen and Perkz, and when you go up against each player, do you find that they are both like immovable objects? Or, like, what's your experience when playing against a laner like Perkz?
Against Perkz, it's like he tries to get a mental advantage. I always feel like playing against him. He plays really far, like forward in lane, even though like his team is not around him. So yeah, I think he's kind of a mental, like tries to like mentally get an advantage. And but he's also really smart. He's definitely a great mid laner. And yeah, Larssen's more like controlled, I would say. Like he really tries to take every CS and tries to have a perfect lane.
Let's focus on one last one, because with the graphics that I see behind me, of course, I have to talk about the Korean battle in the jungle for this game, Haru versus Malrang. Different styles, Vedi. One more focused onto, I want to say, level 3 gankers, and the other one more focused on farming champions.
Yeah, I think that when you look at the two junglers and you kind of think about the approaches of both teams, Rogue is a team that leverages the fact that their jungler is very active in the early game and he will try to play towards his strong laners, whereas Vitality seem to have adopted approach of trying to play more for Haru. I think you can also call, like, when Gilius locks in things like Hecarim, your responsibility is to play more towards him, right? You want to try and make sure that he can get the resources to be more of a carrier later on, and I feel like that Vitality plays in a similar way. Would you say that you've kind of had that similar experience when playing against Vitality?
Yeah, for sure. Like Vitality, they usually wait for Haru like getting some like levels before like they do something around the map, and that's why also, for example, Perkz played a few times Asia to give him like this this window, because with Asia like you have lane prio, you have kind of an early game, you have a lane you can play through as a jungler, you get prio and move with Asia, and that's what I also did in scrims.
So when you think about these two teams in particular, I mean, you've had experience against both of them. Who are you more afraid of typically when playing against, and who do you think is the harder one to make that upset happen against?
I think I would be more afraid of Vitality.
Okay.
Yeah, because like Perkz he's like clutch player, you know. But I think it's harder to win against Rogue, I would say. I think our games against Rogue, they look good so far. I think last split we went like 1-1, and like 2 weeks ago we also almost bet them. And against Vitality, we always had problems. I think we are 0-3 right now through the whole year. So I would say Vitality.
That's fair.
Scrims is another form of data, let's say, compared to official games. But Vedi, I want to have your take on it, because as we said, Vitality is still yet to pick up a win against a strong team, and facing off against Rogue today, where do you think they have the tools to beat them?
Well, I would say that like mid lane is where I look, because I know that fans in particular love to be very critical of this this roster, in particular their laners. But I think that one of the things that you can't dispute is the early game consistency in terms of their lane approach, the aggression that they often display. Like Sertuss kind of summed it up really nicely in how Perkz approaches his lane, where it always feels like he's trying to win the lane rather than just like gain a small advantage. That's something that's very difficult to play around. The problem is, I think that the wall that is Rogue that they build during the regular season is so difficult to overcome that you need to throw a strong enough curveball or catch them off guard. And like, sure, there is the meme of Rogue time that you can look to try and take advantage of, but I just don't have the same level of faith in Vitality to have that same level of consistency that Rogue can. So I'm more in the Rogue camp. I have a little bit more faith in their drafting, their early game approach, and overall like their consistency. But I definitely see a world where Vitality can provide that wrench that can kind of change and flip the entire game. And it has been the day of upset, so it wouldn't surprise me if Vitality then ran the day out with another upset.
Anything can happen, but is it really an upset given what we expect from both these teams as we jump onto Champion Select? Sertuss, you're going to stay with us. We're going to do the draft together. Before we go, you were on the Vitality side. Where do you think that they're going to strike?
I think they will... I feel like Perkz will probably play Sylas today.
Okay.
I think Sylas over like in LCK, also in LPL, it's like high prior pick right now. And I think it fits him, you know, like he's really aggressive. He tries to like make the enemy sweat, and this is the perfect champ for him. So.
I will say that like it's not European exclusive, but we've seen now 2 Akalis into Azir. Europe has always loved Akali as an answer to Azir. You already talked about how it's a champion that can kind of like fight you at 6. Do you think this is something that Perkz could look to do, especially when you look at Larssen, who's like one of the go-to Larssen players that we have, Azir players rather, that we have here in Europe?
Yeah, I definitely can think that Perkz will play like something like Sylas or Akali into Azir. Okay, they already banned Azir. I guess they just...
They don't want to have to deal with it, I guess.
I guess they don't want to have to deal with that. Probably Larssen like did some like crazy plays probably in scrims or something.
I will also say that with GP being removed, this is something that was a typical first pick from Rogue as well. What does this suggest to you? When you kind of see these bans coming out from Rogue, what does it indicate as a first pick?
Maybe a Gnar. I think right now the 2 top lane champs are GP Gnar. You can either trade them and try to gank Gnar in the early game, or like you just first pick one of them.
And the Kalista open. A pick that complex, of course.
For sure. So this suggests to me that Rogue is once again looking for that like early game proactivity. We saw Comp bring this out before. Do you feel you need to pair this up with the support early, or do you think that you can like save the support for later?
No, I think you can save the support for later. I think Kalista with like counter pick soup is like probably one of the strongest lanes. And right now what you could look for is getting an early game strong jungler where you can like play through bot lane. And yeah, I think you can wait with the support pick.
So we see the Gnar and the Zeri also coming out from the side of Vitality. This shouldn't really come as much of a surprise. They're 2 pretty strong champions in the current meta. So this was literally just talking about how the top laners right now are Gnar GP. So do you feel like Rogue is pretty open in terms of their direction right here, or would you look to try and lock in a top laner if you're Rogue?
I think you're pretty open. I think Gwen works. You could also pick like Camille maybe. And yeah.
How is Gwen doing these days? Because we don't see the champion so often now.
I think Gwen got nerfed, right?
Yeah.
For sure. Like for sure like she dropped prio. I also don't see it that much. So it's for sure like a pick where they were probably trying it out in scrims. It worked, and yeah.
This,
All right, you saw
this
the
draft
Sylas
from Rogue
coming.
seems super weird to me. Because, like, I think I would have preferred Camille, especially when you're playing in something like a Zeri to give you a little bit more lockdown and backline access. But on top of that, they're blinding the Sylas, and then, okay,
Whoa.
so talk to me about this matchup, because you've probably played both sides of it. What do you think?
Okay, so like I think they locked in here Sylas, because Sylas right now you can just blind pick it, and also like Gnar ult is one of the best ults for Sylas.
Right.
And this mid lane matchup, like it's the mid lane matchup to try to skill gap someone, I would say. It's like, I would say 50-50. What Akali can do is play with Ignite in the early game, like Ignite TP or Flash Ignite, and then try to look for a solo kill. But I think Sylas can also like try to play more farming and wait a bit, and yeah.
Who do you think scales better in the matchup in terms of the isolated 1v1?
I think Sylas scales better. I think once you have like Sonya's death cap, and you are like, it's way harder to die because you have also so much CDR to spam like your W. But Akali is also really strong later on. I think it's, yeah, as I said, a skill matchup.
For sure.
Sylas needs to dodge the E, and then I think he should win the 1v1.
Yeah, and depending on the tools provided by the other team, there's so much stuff you can set up as Sylas, and now I see Gnar, I see the Zeri, we'll see what comes in the second pick phase. Support band, mostly. Poppy too, maybe a listen to be expected?
I think Poppy right now is also a really strong pick,
Yeah.
especially like in LPL. I think both teams could for sure pick Poppy. Poppy's really good into Sylas and Kalista. Like it denies like Sylas skirmish in the first like 3 to 4, 5 levels. But it's also good into Akali, I would say. So like it's a prior pick for both junglers. Yeah, it's pretty much blind pickable.
I see.
Yeah.
So the only thing we're missing right now is, I was going to say junglers, and Viego is the immediate one that comes to mind. When we think of S-tier picks, like, I feel like Vitality is just getting a lot of them. Gnar, Zeri, Viego, these are all pretty standard meta stuff that you can pretty much fit in any comp, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think the Viego priority dropped a bit, but like if you ban champs like Poppy and Wukong are banned, it's for sure a good champion.
All right, depending on what gets picked next, I expect a lot of team fights overall coming from these two compositions. Vi being locked in, Valée?
So okay. So Kalista Taric is an old school Mad Lions bot lane, I want to say.
Yeah.
I seem to remember it was Carzzy and Kaiser that brought this out, that like gives you a lot of team fight power, especially later on into the game. When I look at this Rogue comp, I actually think that they have a lot more like side lane threats scaling onto the game. You have like Gwen, you have Sylas, both in the isolated 1v1 scale very well. I would argue that they do obviously have team fight elements, but it's a lot of single target damage into things like a Zeri with also a Tahm Kench. What are your impressions of the two drafts?
Yeah, I mean the Vi pick is for Zeri. You just wanna like in team fights try to lock her down. And I'm not a big fan of Taric. I think you need more kind of an engage. That's why we see like Rakan ban. Because like once like Sylas wants to go in with Vi, it's better to have him follow up. I think the Tahm Kench last pick is pretty smart. It's just like a safety for Zeri. Because like Akali, Gnar, they should usually be like really safe in the in team fights, but for the Zeri it's really good. And yeah, there will be a lot of fighting, a lot of melee champs, so both sides can definitely win.
But based on what you've seen in the draft, who are you leaning towards? What's your prediction?
I think I lean more to the Vitality side.
I agree with you. Yeah. I'm interested.
Yeah, the Zeri is like one of the strongest ADCs right now. Like in combination with Tahm Kench to deny like the Vi engage, and also Akali into Sylas as sort of a counter pick. I would say I would lean more towards Vitality.
I would very much agree.
Valée, where should we keep our eyes on here?
I'm afraid we don't have time.
We don't have
to go
time?
into game.
All right, well, let's go into the game right now. Game 5, Vitality versus Rogue. Let's go.
Let's get into it. last game of the day. First Taric we've seen in the LEC this year. I was having a look back. I think the last time... Hello, everyone, by the way. I think the last time we saw Taric support played by Rogue... Oh, it wasn't. Oh, maybe it was. I think it was the How Good Am I moment. Or was that Vander playing on Misfits?
I think that was... Oh, just, don't ask me about it.
Anyway,
I'm not going to answer it.
All I remember is Vander doing How Good Am I, How Good Am I, TPing to top tower with his ultimate up and saving his top laner at the time. But, obviously, now Trymbi, the support for Rogue. And he's going to be bringing this Taric to the stage, which is not something we too commonly see. Very good into dive, actually really good in sustained trades down towards the bottom side as well. Starlight's Touch, your heal. The cooldown reduces if you smack people with your hammer. It means you can get a lot of heals off if you have those prolonged trades.
Oh yeah, I used to cast well, kind of one trick. Well, the best Taric we actually had in the server, Bravado, at one point as well. Unfortunately, I wish I had any tips he could give me, but I never asked him about it, so I can't bring them up in this matchup. But
aim the E at your opposition.
That's usually pretty good.
Yeah.
And, you know, Desk was talking about this draft as well, how having a Zeri to be enabled as well with a Tahm Kench when there's so much lockdown on you. It's also just about getting to that point, I'd say as well, because you don't have an immediate form of engage on Vitality either. A lot of it's like throwing the Gnar in, that's your engage of course, and it's to follow up with Akali, but it's not always it's as easy said as it's done. So I think it's about getting there to Vitality, and I think their early game has been good, but they've shown inconsistency towards the mid game. I think they've been very good at punishing lower end teams, which is usually the teams they beat, but they lose against the teams on top of them. And I think going up against a team like Rogue, who's very much solidified themselves at the top, is a little bit of a challenge for Vitality, but the Desk was happy about the draft, so...
Yeah, I'm very happy with how Vitality's drafted. Perkz is running Electrocute here on the Akali instead of something like the Conqueror that we have seen a couple of times. Will mean he has a little bit more sustained trades. Trymbi continues to land those dazzles. So, in case you haven't seen Taric before, basically he has a stun, which is that line you see coming out of him, called a dazzle. He has a heal, which is a little circle of healing. He also has Bastion. What Bastion is he puts some gems around you, and then whenever he uses that stun or heal, it also goes off you. So you can heal around you, but you can also stun from the Kalista and aim it towards your opposition.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just a combo as well with Kalista, as Vedius was kind of talking about. It's an old combo. When Kalista first came out, this was played quite often. Malrang flash.
Malrang. Perkz didn't even have to sidestep that, just walked away. Malrang misses the flash Q, and will just retreat a little bit sheepishly back into his own jungle.
And that also gives the information. You can see on the camp counter as well, he's on 16. That means that Haru now knows that he's not done Grumps or Crocs at this point in time, so they're going to be trading off of the two Heralds, or not Heralds, but the two Scuttles. So Haru takes the top side, Malrang takes the bottom one. Yep. And now Haru can just clear out his Crocs, while Malrang's probably just going to get going with his own camps, because getting level 6 on a Vi, really crucial as well.
Yeah, gets you that Assault and Battery, means that you can do a lot of damage. Actually, I think they may have changed the name of that.
They have changed the name now, yeah.
I'm going to have to look that one up. I would fail a pop quiz. If it was just Vi abilities right now.
Those pop quizzes are so hard. Like, every time I watch the player do it, I was like, it's so easy, man.
Right, let's do it without looking it up. Okay, Q. Something. Vault Breaker, probably.
Yeah.
Denting Blows, W.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
E. Something Overpower,
Shattering
probably.
Stab,
No,
whatever.
it's not Shattering Stab. That's Rel Q. Shattering Strike. Anyway. And then the ultimate, the name that we can't remember right now, is Haru looks for something up towards the top side, tries to put Odoamne behind, Odo on the Gwen. The way he's pushing in could just be Haru shadowing Alphari to make sure that Malrang wasn't working his way up towards the top side. They do have a couple of wards, one ward and that Scuttle Crab, meaning that Alphari was relatively safe as he tries to push this wave into the tower.
And that kind of allows Malrang to catch up as well on the reset time as a jungler. It doesn't matter too much yet, but as a jungler, the reason why full clearing and why so many junglers like full clearing is because the faster and faster you clear your camp than your position, the faster you rubber band the XP. Every time you kill a camp, it spawns with higher level, you get more XP from it, yada yada. You get the flow of that. It's just about killing them fast and you get ahead of your opponent. Now they're even once again, and that's kind of decent for Malrang, who's a little behind the curve, a camp before after, but it seemed necessary just to make sure Alphari could get the push in.
Comes back up with Mercury Treads to deal with that Gwen. That top lane matchup one we will keep our eyes on, but mid lane perhaps a little bit more explosive. Larssen and Perkz actually Larssen having a very good start to the season, although he has struggled in a couple of games. Perkz, kind of middle of the pack, does get some large CS leads, but struggles to translate that into more for his team.
Yeah, but the big takeaway is here that you're watching two of the best laners we currently have in the LEC. And quite usually we see them on control mages, on Ahri. This time around, that's not the case. We're seeing them on two melee champions where it's also about the mechanics. And in that kind of repertoire, Perkz has always been highly regarded, where Larssen sometimes... We've not seen too much of him. I think this is a great chance for him to show it, though.
Well, breaker charged up by Malrang, no flash to follow through, perfect execution. Perkz dodges across the wall. Perkz still has that ultimate available to him. Spectral Maul was channeled by Haru. Perkz uses the R2 to get away, and Larssen will retreat as well. So neither of them able to find the upper hand in that trade. Perkz actually in a pretty good position considering he's about 10 CS up on this Akali. Does have slightly more range than the Sylas with that 5-point strike. Labrov and Haru now teaming up to try and get a little bit of vision into the Rogue jungle. Don't really feel they're going to get too much here. I was like, excuse me, Trymbi, I would prefer you on the other side of this wall. So just knocks him over.
Malrang not too far from level 6 either. He needs to clear the Crocs and he needs to clear another camp. He will have it. If he can secure that before Perkz gets the perfect execution up again, that could be a point of attack in the mid lane. Of course, bot lane is a possibility as well, with Labrov still being level 4 and Tahm Kench really not offering any defensive for you AD carry after that low rework he had.
Yeah, the Devourer you need level 6, of course. So
no longer the W.
Trymbi looking for a trade here. Dazzle's going to hit. Only onto the Tahm Kench though, and he's very happy. We're cheering every Dazzle. Is that what we're doing? Every time Trymbi hits an E, we're going to cheer.
Oh, that's great.
I can get on board with that. I can get on board with that.
Now
hey, he hasn't hit one yet, guys. Don't get too over ego, okay?
Malrang, though, actually just dashed over the wall at the Drake pit, so he's currently not spotted on this scuttle here. Haru is around, though, but I don't know if he's going to be making his way in. Just going to be waiting for the Grump, yeah. So first strike should just go over to the sides of Rogue here, pretty uncontested.
Yeah, 7.5 minutes in as well, relatively early for the first dragon of the game. There's the Dazzle, hits the dragon. Good one, Trymbi. Labrov, though, could have missed a Voyage in here.
And he does.
Slow, gonna go forward. They get the knock up onto Trymbi. Fates calls them out. There's an ultimate invested, but Trymbi gets to safety without having to burn a summoner. Comp did burn his flash, though. Larssen with the long range chains there. Pulling Perkz all the way back in, but unable to get much more out of it. Hijack a possibility, but of course there is an internal cooldown on that. Larssen can't do it on the same champion too many times in a row.
So what's Malrang going to look for here? He's currently clearing his red buff. There's a possibility for him to move down towards the bot side. He also has his entirety of the top side respawning, and that's why he's going for the recall. Rift Herald has also spawned, so for the side of the bot laners, it's going to be a fight of priority. Whoever gets to push in the bot lane and recall first gets to be at the objective first, and that's of course what both teams will be looking for.
Yeah, looking for that Rift though. Both these teams pretty good at gaining early game leads. Gold leads at 14 minutes. Pretty high up there. A lot of the good laners in this game. But I will sadly inform you, if you look at the kills and the deaths at 14, they're both pretty low. So, you know, Vitality die a little bit at the 14-minute mark. Rogue die not that much at the 40-minute mark, but neither team gets too many kills as Carzzy looks for something down towards the bottom side. Comp exhausted, cleanses the way the Dazzle lands, but Labrov has the thick skin and Comp doesn't really have anywhere to go. Pulls back the spears, that's one, make it two. A double for Comp, the Dazzle coming in clutch.
Brilliant stuff from Rogue. Finding the 2v2, especially in a scenario that looked how it was finally going to go in favor of Carzzy. They get to push in the mid lane. They can get a favorable reset towards the Rift Herald as well. This is great stuff from the Rogue bot lane.
This is huge for them as well. Trymbi using all those auto attacks to get the Cosmic Radiance out. You can see just how quickly you can heal up Comp in these fights. The plate will be given over as well to the AD carry. I wonder if that will...
yeah, it will.
It will die, but I'm wondering if it would split go. No, full gold over to Comp. 160 in his back pocket. Now 1,000 gold the lead for that Kalista.
Needs to be a bit careful though, because the bot lane needs to get that reset through before you get aggressive up here. Labrov obviously died. Because of that, he gets out with home guards. And I can't tell you how many times top laners don't respect when you solo kill bot lane and they run up with home guards immediately. But let's have a look at the replay once again. Great ecoing out there. Yep, the audience approves of it. Man. And it looks so great, but Comp just dodges behind the minions, not allowing Carzzy to hit those bullets that come through from his Q, and that just really solidifies the play for the Rogue bot lane.
It's one of those small things, but you look at how many times Trymbi was able to auto-attack in that, and how many times he got that AoE heal off. It was huge for the bot lane. Obviously, Comp doing a great job as well, dodging behind those minions. Play's going to go down in that bottom lane too. Over to Carzzy, will get himself a little bit of gold back in his pocket. So we did see Trymbi working his way up towards the top side. Rift Herald, though, should be secured by Malrang. There it goes. And Rogue have that to try and garner more leads, garner more gold. Perhaps for Odoamne, but with the wave in the state it is, Alphari really can't stay around here.
Oh, but he will.
He's going to dodge, he's going to dash, he's going to leap. And Mini Gnar will escape any further predatory nature from Malrang.
Still not a nice situation. You have to give up that topside wave. Odoamne can freeze potentially outside of his turret, go for a recall himself, match the reset coming through from Alphari. Looking in the mid lane. Malrang is back, does have that ultimate.
Ball breaker flash forward, cease and desist. Perkz nowhere to go except back to the fountain. Malrang on the board.
Yeah, great stuff there. Malrang just immediately topside, moves down towards the mid lane, and Perkz just not respecting the fact that he's coming behind that pink ward. Malrang and Larssen punishing immediately. And I have to say as well, I think these two specifically, Malrang and Larssen, is one of the better 2v2s we have in the league as well. Malrang has spent so much time around that mid lane.
Oh, you can
now
dive.
can they use that extra pressure, move it down the bot side. Labrov does have that ultimate. Could be a little bit dicey, and I would call the dive off.
But Trymbi has his ultimate.
Good point.
And use that to dive pretty effectively. The Taric ult, when it lands, gives invulnerability to everyone within the circles, but they don't obviously go for the dive. Instead, they just take the plate and back away. Haru is on the bottom side of the map, but Rogue out to an early lead here. 1,000 gold ahead. 11.5 minutes into the game, and the longer comp and Trymbi can keep Carzzy and Labrov in lane, the better it is for them. They already have that Immortal Shield Bow complete on the Kalista.
And yeah, once again, tier coming through from Trymbi. It's only just so you can literally just keep the Q slamming coming through. It consumes so much mana, so you need that extra mana regen, or just mana in general, come through from that item. I think as well, moving forward to these team fights, how the ultimates will come down for Trymbi is going to be very crucial.
Yeah.
I know Orcs specifically from the LPL quite often talks about this. Well, not quite often, but did at a time where Taric was meta. And one of the things was that you don't want to be using it too reactive. It's easy for your opponent to play around. It's very slow coming down. You want to be using it actively. You want to start the fight with the ultimate coming down, so there's no way your opponent can actually fight back when you do it.
Similar to a Shen ultimate, right? Like, if
Very
you
much
go
so.
in and you use it aggressively, it can work out so much better. It's similar to Tahm Kench's Abyssal Voyage as well. You want to be using it to try and get into the fight rather than trying to escape. Rogue, though, yet to use it. That Cosmic Radiance stays as a possibility, a hypothetical invulnerability, rather than an actualized one. And Carzzy and above just trying to hold this wave. Now Rift Herald still available for Malrang. 3 plates down towards this bottom side. You can see Haru thinking, yeah, something could happen down here. Starts his recall. Wave slowly pushing into Vitality. Haru still waiting. Spear goes out as Comp looks for a little bit of damage. They're going to turn it onto Carzzy. Dazzle goes wide. Haru joins the fray and just helps clear out the way.
Yeah, and right now there's still no availability for the top laners. We're only 13 minutes into the game, so while they have their teleports, they can't just join the fight off a minion with a bot lane priority. The Drake Pit could be the objective for Rogue.
I think you Rift Herald first in the mid lane. Perkz is recalling. This is perfect time to put it down. Perkz will stay around now, which means he hasn't had his reset, doesn't have the TP. The Dragon are possible for Rogue, but instead they might just look for Perkz on the dive.
And now the rest of them coming up here. The Fate Sealed is here.
Malrang. Perkz with a good flash across the wall. Now the Rift Herald still charging in. That Bulwark will have been activated. The tower tankier than it was a couple of moments ago, and so only 3 plates taken from that mid lane turret. Now they turn back towards the Dragon. Perkz still no TP for about 20 seconds or so. This will be Rogue with the gold in the mid lane. The Rift Herald placed down, and the second Dragon of the game.
But you can see how much of this comes from where Malrang moves around the map as well. Down towards the bottom side. Let Comp and Trymbi push that lane in. And even in the 3v3 scenario, Vitality's not going to be looking forward with Haru. Move that pressure up towards the mid lane. They already have the Herald. Get some plating. Force Perkz away. Move down towards the bottom side. Pick up the Drake. And now, counter-attack for Vitality. It's the top side. Are you going to be diving the Gwen? No Mecha Gnar available right now. Doesn't seem to be the case.
That control ward well placed as well by Rogue to spot out if Labrov and Haru are on their way. It's just been cleared by Labrov towards where the blue buff would be. Now Labrov works his way back down towards the bottom side. Could just be helping Perkz push this out. Perkz does have the TP. His last reset, not the best. Malrang on his way, as they say. Dazzle's going to land, and the chase is on. Perkz, no flash, able to dash away. The Cosmic Radiance coming down as well will help Rogue with this TP in. Rogue able to take one. Labrov falls. Malrang takes it. And now a Vitality once again just have to retreat.
Medic, what do you do when you just go for the Tahm Kench instead? They're talking about him not allowing his allies to get picked up. Rogue immediately realizing this themselves. Alphari.
Breaker's going to hit. Alphari building up the Mega, though. Larssen on his way across. Haru chasing in as well. Malrang realizes he's a bit overstayed there. Larssen has a flash of his own. Will use it, as will Malrang. So 2 flashes burnt just to escape from this fight. Meanwhile, though, Comp has some free time at the tower up towards the top lane, and with it being past 14 minutes, he will shred through this. Kalista not the best at taking turrets, but still pretty darn effective. Haru has the Heartbreaker to escape any further players. Carzzy goes in. Spectral more use. VoD Breaker back, but Malrang nowhere to go. Haru gets the shutdown. TP's up towards the top lane. Vitality calling for the fight, calling for a battle. Trymbi's going to try and land the dazzle. Perkz dodging in and out of the shroud. Comp going forward. No Cosmic Radiance available. Comp brings back the Fate's core, but he's locked up and shut down. Another to Haru. They're looking to make it 3. A double for Haru as Kalista. It's 3 on the play. All kills on him.
And Vitality, they finally punish. Rogue, they're overstepping way too early on that objective for Rift Herald. Still 20 minutes till it spawns. No reason for Malrang to be in River. Find a teleport. 14 minutes. We have passed it. And they look for it immediately. Finding a way back into this game, equalizing the gold lead.
Yeah, huge for Vitality, huge for Haru as well. We've seen what Viegos can do when they start to get snowballing. Divine Sundra, Executioners already complete on him. Odo and Alphari trading a little bit here. Larssen could work his way across. Odo able to dodge away with the needle work. It will be 2 towers for 1 in total in this trade, but Vitality picked 3 kills out of it and Rogue got none.
Let's have a look at it once again, because I think this is very overzealous. Okay.
Odo. Everpot's gonna root up Perkz. Just needs one more auto attack. He can't get close enough. No perfect execution for him. He's already used it. Perkz still chasing onto Larssen. Haru coming in as well, but great escape from Odo. Once again, the weak side king. Outnumbered, outmanned, still able to escape. Yeah,
now on the top side, there's so much room for Rogue instead. If they want to move up towards the top side turret, just take it down immediately. Look at the Herald afterwards. No Comp, just going to move down himself. Larssen does have teleport. He's back in right now. He needs some mana. Might even pick up some item components too. See how it goes here.
Yeah, Haru doesn't really have a way to get in or get out of the pit. No Heartbreaker, no Smite, so Rogue will be able to secure the Rift Herald. Second of the game for them. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of the map, Odoamne still struggling a little bit. You can see Perkz on his way across. No Ghost, no TP for Odo. Nard into the wall. Alphari looking for this very early on. And Odo, although he doesn't have the needlework, or perhaps they were looking for him to overstep. Instead, he backs away, plays safe once again as the Rift Herald can be put down on the top side for Rogue. They won't use it yet. Wait for the wave to come in. Abyssal Voyage into the mid as Malrang wants to... Larssen caught out a little bit. The chase continues. Devour stolen away. Larssen, that's not going to do you too much good. He was looking for the Heartbreaker, but his heart is broken itself.
A little unfortunate getting the Tahm Kench ultimate. That's not going to do you much. Only for your allies. No allies around, of course. And Vitality surprisingly respond very well to the aggression that's coming out as well from Rogue on the top side. Just finds a pick in the mid lane. Reason why Labrov was able to find that Abyssal dive was, of course, that he's out of vision, and then it doesn't really show the HUD that you're coming in here, which Larssen then got caught by.
It's one of those things we're kind of baited by a little bit on spec, where you see this big circle under someone, and you're like, why are they not dodging that?
Yes.
If the Tahm Kench is not in your vision, you don't see that big circle. So it's a lot easier to get caught out. We saw it earlier today as well.
Which essentially is just why it's so crucial to have vision on the Tahm Kench. Even in lane as well, it's a tricky matchup if you don't. But now, Drake will be spawning in 30 seconds. Would be the 3rd one.
It's only a Cloud Soul though, so...
It's decent.
Were you imitating Cloud Soul there?
No, yeah, well... For this...
You are the airbender.
Last of its kind. Wish that was the case, but there's going to be 2 more spawning of it at least.
True.
And now good vision control, though. You can see the pink wards, no way for Vitality to get access to it. And just from the posturing we see on the minimap, doesn't really look like they want to either.
Yeah, doesn't seem like they care too much. Rift Herald's still available for Malrang as well. Could look to try and break that tier 2 towards the bottom lane. He's working his way across there, dragging up now. Can, of course, use Comp to secure that. The spears, when you rend them, will do quite a lot of damage, often out-damaging a Smite. Can be used in unison with it. There's the Rift Herald down. Malrang's just going to apply some pressure here. They know Vitality don't really want to play around it. Everfrost's coming in as the Rift Herald will charge forward. That tower's not going to fall. Vitality able to hold on to it for the moment. There's a lot of damage done to the tier 2.
At least it's puts in a decent position to pick up the 600 gold for Odo. If he comes back there, gets a wave pushed in, it's just a couple auto attacks, then it does get taken down. On the opposite end of the spectrum, Perkz gets to push in the top side. Unfortunately for him, does not have a Rift Herald.
TPing. Larssen, what you
Perkz.
got? Well, he's got the hijack and he's got the flash. Perfect execution available for Perkz. He dives in. Larssen does the opposite. Easy enough escape. Just steal your ultimate, use it better, get away.
Fancy feet from Larssen. He finds the ankle. Just gets the first part of the perfect execution out. Now Malrang and Comp around the area if they would like to look, but they don't have vision on the other members. Don't know where Haru is currently. But if Alphari continues with the push in the bot side, could be punished.
And the thing with that for Larssen is he got Perkz' teleport out of that. Now, he did burn his flash, which is big. Of course, Perkz still has a flash of his own. But that teleport only about half the way off cooldown, which means that Perkz won't have it for the next sequence of events. 4 minutes on the next Dragon. Baron a possibility still. You can see Vitality have control over that top side because they didn't fight for the last Dragon, so they have a few wards littered around that top side river. But right now it feels like they just want to scale, and scaling they are. 2 items on Carzzy, Phantom Dancer, Immortal Shieldbow complete, trying to avoid the burst that comes out of Malrang as he dives forward. Alongside that, we've got 2 items on Haru.
Already, you can see the map has been split. Vitality allocating all their resources on the top side, where Rogue is doing it on the bottom side. It makes sense for the camp respawns as well. Braum Pasture spawned, so has the Wolves. If they want to look for some of the neutral gold to contest, they can move in with their members right now. Unfortunately, it looks like Comp is going to be going for a reset. If he didn't, then they could look to try and skirmish around this area. At least Larssen should be able to pick up 1 Grom for himself.
So what's the game plan then? If you're Rogue in this situation, it feels like you're pretty happy with how things are going. You can just fight for the next Drake. But is there anything Vitality need to do?
I actually think they're equally as happy for it because they want to wait for the right moment where they're looking for that team fight. While they're not the one dictating the pace right now and they're not the one stacking the objective in terms of a gold lead, they're still very much even and they can still fight. They can still find the pickups. And I think now you can't really do the same strategy you did earlier where you just went on with Malrang on towards Labrov. He's going to be tankier now. He's very close to finishing up the locket off the Solari. I think he should have it before 2 minutes and 30 seconds when that Cloud Soul potentially comes through from Rogue. And I'd actually think that it's going to come down to the execution of our players.
It often does.
I mean, you say that, but sometimes there really is a draft diff.
Sometimes there is a draft diff.
So that's what I mainly mean when I say it's more execution-based. Like sometimes it really is just sold out in draft and really difficult to play. But I think both teams has win conditions right now they can play for. I think if you find isolated pickups as well with Malrang, having vision control can be super crucial just because you burn down the opponent so fast with the extra CC being applied by Sylas, by Trymbi as well. So it's through Malrang as a spear you're really looking for that.
I will say as well, for anyone confused by what the second item in Haru's inventory is, that's the Kempunk Chainsword. I have seen debate on Twitter, I believe it was from I Will Dominate, talking about how he thinks this is actually a pretty effective second item, especially if you get back on around that sort of gold. It's 2,600 gold, you get 45 attack damage, 250 health, you get grievous wounds, you get ability haste, and yes, you could look for something like a Death's Dance, or you could look for a Black Cleaver, but it's relatively equatable as Larssen looks for a fight up towards the top side. TP coming in from Vitality as they look to try and make this play happen. Late TP as well from Odoamne. Malrang trying to trade onto a Perkz who dives in with a perfect execution. Great Gnar into the wall with a counter Gnar, it's huge! Larssen steals away the ultimate and just does it better. Cosmic Radiance now, gonna keep Rogue so healthy. Carzzy trying to get out of this one, has the flash, can try and turn it around. This is where Zeri can shine, but at a numbers disadvantage, it's very difficult to do, and they just don't have the vision to play through the fog of war. Haru on a long flank has that Heartbreaker, no flash for him. Will Rogue start up the Baron? Instead, they decide against it. They say, we took the fight, we took 2 kills, and that's enough for now.
Looks like a no. 1 minute till that Cloud Soul spawns as well. Can just get the reset timers through and then try and retain some vision control on the bottom side of the map instead. They don't have to worry about the top side too much. They already have a ping board in the Baron pit, so no threat of Vitality trying to burst that down when they come off their resets. I think we're going to be looking for another fight at around this Dragon. And let's just take stock at the ultimate. You can already see it. Larssen, fortunately, still has his, but on the other side of the spectrum, not so many.
Alphari has that Mega Gnar just built up, but no TP, and he's on the top side of the map. 20 seconds on the Cloud Soul for Rogue if they secure this Dragon. He's going to go into mini. We'll have an opportunity to rebuild it if they can delay and distract Rogue for long enough. Baron pinged by Vitality. Maybe they just don't care about the Cloud Soul.
This just never works out because you always just leave one member to solo out the Drake, and then Malrang would just move in towards the mid lane to set it up. You already have a Kalista. Yeah, this Soul, it is just going over to Rogue. There should be no stopping it.
And Vitality only using the time to get mid prio. They can then work their way towards the top side and try and get some vision. They have a few wards, but they're only in their own side of the jungle. Vitality's begin to retreat, and Rogue get the Cloud Soul.
Rogue could look to Pincer here, try and stop them from their path in the mid lane. That's not going to be the case. They're going to control the vision area around the Baron, make sure there's a little intel as possible and available for Vitality around this area. Now they are just going for the resets themselves.
Also as well, Larssen having a stormer of a game. It's perfect executions and that Gnar ult in the last fight really defining it for Rogue, winning him out those battles. Perkz has struggled at times to really make his mark. And you see a lot of grievous wounds coming
I was
out
going to say, a
from
little
the
overkill.
side. Yeah, Morello Nomicon and the Chempunk Chainsword. Now, Kalista will heal a lot. Taric healing, of course, is there. Sylas heal. Like, everyone apart from Vi has native healing on the side of Rogue, but it is a lot of damage that you are losing out on by going straight towards that Morello Nomicon instead of looking for something a little bit more aggressive.
I mean, you still get the shields as well, so Shadow Flame, of course, could have been a thing, but enough about items. It seems like we're just going to be around this Baron instead. You can still see the vision control being fought for, and I don't expect Rogue to just start this up immediately, but if they push Vitality far enough back into their jungle, to the point where they can't just walk into the Baron because they're afraid of face checking, well, then you still have the Kalista. So the Rend that will be coming through can help to just secure it. It shouldn't really come down to a smite fight. The cohesion should be there from Malrang and come together. Coordination. I don't know if cohesion is the word.
Only one fast alteration as well, still available for Vitality. That's sitting on Alphari. He'll use it. They spot in the pit that Rogue was started at. Control ward on Larssen here. Haru stepping forward. He'll be spotted by Larssen. Everfrost dodge with the Spectral Maw, but that Baron is already down to 7,000. You really got to get in here. Perkz has the TP. It's a bit late. That's 4,000 HP on the Baron. Smite Rend will be enough. Should be secured, and it's taken. 300 HP on it, but Vitality just couldn't get in. Gnar available for Alphari. Doesn't have the flash, though, so how's he going to get close enough? Engage with the cease and desist onto the Tahm Kench. Cosmic Radiance coming out as well. All of Rogue untouched. Carzzy, though, untouched as well on the backline. Exhaust going down. Perkz trying to get into this. Carzzy trying to put the damage down as well. Dazzle coming out. Comps able to take two. Trymbi now on the front line. Perkz wants to stopwatch. Carzzy putting whatever he can into the backs of Rogue, but they're all still somehow alive. Perkz dives in, and Perkz dives once again. Carzzy just cannot work his way through Rogue, and Larssen's going to make sure he doesn't work another second this game. Sends him back to the fountain.
Kite Machine coming out from comp there. Beautifully played from all of Rogue. They don't lose a single member able to pick up the Baron for themselves. They have the Cloud Soul. Rend, well, it comes down, they pick it up, and then it looks like they want to move out. But the Cloud Soul movement speed you get here, as soon as everyone just presses those ultimate, Trymbi, Odoamne, they will just run forward, and there'll be no backing out.
Trymbi flash to get the Cosmic Radiance on Comp and Odoamne there. It's huge. It gives them the opportunity to step forward. They know they're invulnerable. They know Vitality can't touch them.
And in the end, it just becomes such a split fight as well. Comp, it gets messy for him, but he counts around Perkz afterwards to stopwatch. Carzzy doing his best to apply the damage, but it just doesn't stick. Behind the curve, and many members to worry about. It's just not enough. Triple kill for Comp. Larssen picks up a double, and it will be the ace, of course.
You can see how
Rogue.
close it is as well, though. Like, it's so tight in these battles. Just Vitality unable to find that final little bit of DPS to take down Rogue. And now Rogue, 8,000 gold ahead. Baron for a minute, 20 still. They're looking to crack open these tier 2s. Will be the last one standing on the map as Comp's going to take it down. 4 items complete on the Kalista. Broken stopwatch, though, does mean there's a small opportunity for Vitality to catch him out.
Playing on 2 lanes, quite standard for Rogue here. They're just going to be syncing up the waves. You can see Comp, he's waiting to attack the minions because he wants the topside minions to collapse at the same time at the mid minions. Now it's going to be a built-in wave. Malrang's going to be looking. It's going to force Vitality a bit forward, or backwards rather.
Alphari almost at Mega Gnar. Rogue only looking to go top of the standings, I believe. Would be 6 wins in a row for them as well. After losing their first 2, they really returned to that Rogue regular split form that we know and love from them. Gnar into the wall here, but Malrang really just too tanky for Vitality to work their way through. Comp takes a lot of damage, though. The tower is going to fall. Perkz looking for a little bit onto Odoamne. He dives in, immediately locked up, dumped back out. Larssen going in, has the Gnar stolen away, only lands it onto one. Carzzy trying to put the damage down from the side as well, but Trymbi locks him up again, and the Cosmic Radiance comes down again, and you just can't touch him. You just can't kill him. Rogue invulnerable in the faces of Vitality, and all they can do is stand and watch as their inhibitor falls. Malrang goes back in for a re-engage, and it's 3v5. Larssen dives in, the dazzle just wide. Carzzy's immortal shield bow brings him just from the brink of death for a moment. Alphari under the towers, though. Haru the same. Rogue diving in, looking at the Nexus, look for the close. Carzzy, Haru, and Alphari can only watch the Nexus towers fall. Able to take down one, Larssen will fall, but Rogue have the Nexus in their eyes. They have their 6th win in their eyes. They have the demise of Vitality in their eyes, and they are making it happen. Haru left to his own devices, and in the end, the only device is the machination of death from at the hands of Rogue. 6 wins in a row for Rogue.
Immune, invulnerable, and unbeatable Rogue today here. Looking great. You watch your throat, mate. Brilliant job here today. And Rogue solidify a victory against Vitality. It was a close affair in the early game. Vitality made some good counter-attacks, but throughout majority of it, it was a Rogue in control. And specifically towards that mid to late game, which is actually where recently they had faltered a little bit. We didn't see signs of that today, Medic.
No, strong stuff all round by Rogue to be able to bring home the win. Said it a couple of times, 6 in a row, very impressive from them, especially after a slower start to the season. Vitality still struggling, of course, sitting in the middle of the pack, but things need to change pretty swift for them. Although they are tied, you know, at the moment with Misfits, G2 and Astralis.
I kind of see Vitality as a gatekeeper. You know, they beat the bottom tier teams towards playoffs all the time, but fail to beat the top side teams. I think the course of, well, their development across the split is going to be important to track, but for now, they are still the gatekeeper for the middle of the pack here.
We'll have to see how they are able to rectify things over the next few weeks. Rogue, though, continue to go from strength to strength. Now, our first place team. You can vote for one of them in our Kia Player of the Game votes at LEC on Twitter. Malrang, Larssen, and Comp are your options.
Everything feels right again. Regular split with Rogue leading. That's the LEC I know.
It's just the norm, you know. Go back to it. Rogue continue to look strong. Whether they can continue that form into playoffs is always another matter. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride, it feels, for this Rogue lineup.
But that's just why it's so exciting, isn't it? You never know, Medic. You never know.
You know. We still have 3 weeks of regular season after this. Still got our wait, 4 weeks? 4 weeks. We're only in week 4 right now.
Yeah.
So we have 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 4 weeks.
Yeah, and then we move on to players afterwards. It all makes sense, yeah.
Math's definitely my strong point. We can give you a little teaser. Our preview of the PGL guest. Who do you think it's going to be?
Well, I think it's going to be a treat.
It is going to be a treat.
It's going to be treats. You get it?
Good one.
Thank you. I tried. Thank you, guys.
I do believe.
No.
I do believe we are about to toss a coin to our quick shot. Jaskier is standing by, ready to interview Rogue's Comp. Take it away.
Thank you so much. Who knew all I needed to do was wear a lot of glitter, and that's all I need for attention. Comp, congratulations. Phenomenal performance. 10, 1, and 3 on the Kalista. The game looked a little bit close, but you kept stacking those dragons. Eventually, the team fight happened. I mean, was it as close to you as maybe it appeared to me as a viewer at home?
I think it looked close, kind of, because we're just trying to play it 100% clean. Like, we kind of knew that the moment me and Gwen hit some items, we can just force Nas, and we can always outsmite because we have the Kalista plus smite combo. So that's why it kind of looked close, because we're just waiting for items. But I think everyone felt like the whole time we were just ahead, right? So there was no issue.
Let's talk a little bit about 100% clean. So on a scale of 0 to 100%, how clean was that win?
I think if we don't include the time Malrang ended in the top lane, when we were like swapped and playing around Herald and stuff, I think it was like 9% kind of.
Okay, yeah. not too bad. I like that. Thank you, Berlin. 90% is good. Let's talk a little bit about the expectations coming into the game, facing off against Vitality, a little bit of a wild card. Vitality have both been phenomenal, and they've kind of sucked. How confident were you playing them today?
I think it was one of those times where we just like had a draft meeting right before the game, and it was like a really quick one because we sorted out the whole week what we were gonna play, and they kind of gave us picks we didn't expect, like the Kalista. So I'm kind of grateful for it.
That is awesome. I think I do have one replay ready that I'd love to ask production to just put up on screen. And Comp, talk me through this team fight. I believe we do have the Baron winning fight, so you guys already have Soul. You should be able to see the clip over there. And step forward if you can. Talk me through this fight here, Comp.
Well, basically, we kind of know that if they commit to us, we can just engage with Vi, and the Taric follow-up ult just makes the fight really unplayable for them. Because like I think Taric was kind of the MVP pick for us this game, and we can just go ham, right? Because we know the Taric would last so long, and yeah, we just basically kill everyone. I mean, at one point it was close because I think Zeri was like hitting for 25 seconds probably. I'm pretty sure she did the most damage this fight.
Yes.
So at one point it was low-key scary, but yeah, pretty good overall.
When you watch this from 0 to 100%, how clean was the fight from Rogue?
I think maybe we could make the Zeri ult go away a bit faster, but other than that was as it should. We just went in ham, and that's what I like.
And you need to give me a percentage, my man. Give yourself a score on you between 0 to 100.
0 to 100?
Yes.
I don't know, like
95. 95, come on, 95. Comp, congratulations. Rogue sitting on top of the table. Did you get a chance to see any of the games or see the results from earlier today?
I kind of watched the last game. We were chilling in the room.
So did you see the upsets here? Misfits taking down Fnatic pretty handily. Astralis picking up a win against XL. What do you think when you see those results coming in here in week 4?
Well, I mean, it's for sure nice, I think, for everyone, kind of to have the standings be so close. But I think overall, the Fnatic and the G2 game, they kind of drafted poorly. I don't think they necessarily drafted to their power. So that's kind of why I think they lost. I still think they're way better teams than the ones they lost today, but props to the other team, right?
Yeah, of course. Now I'm going to put you in a difficult position. I have one last question. Yeah. It's completely unfair, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Okay.
Which 4 teams will not make playoffs at the end of summer?
Will not make playoffs?
Yes, you got to think about this because I'm going to quote you in 5 weeks' time. Okay.
Oh my God.
Okay, yes, thank you for the laughter there. So we can only put BDS on the list. That's easy, right?
Oh,
so who are the next 3?
I mean, I would probably say SK.
Right.
And then...
Misfits, Vitality, Mad Lions, Astralis, XL. Yeah.
Did Mad Lions win or lose today?
Mad Lions won today.
Mad Lions won
smashed.
Today. Yeah. Well, then I would have to say Misfits.
Misfits, you need one more.
And G2.
And G2? That's what I love to Comp. That is the best reply. Comp, thank you so much. Congratulations on the win. We'll see you tomorrow. We're going to an ad break. When we come back, it's post-game lobby. Dude, that is such a spicy answer. Thank you. Yes.